Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about we're talking about travel albums and trying to get started rolling with my Ireland album, but I just wanted to take this segment and talk to you about different things that you can do to indicate the different days of your trip or different segments of your trip, and just to give you some ideas of things you might want to do in your albums. So I have several samples to share with you of different types of traveling albums that we've done, that I've participated with, and I want to share those with you and kind of discuss why I did what I did, so that you have some more ideas to kind of inspire you. Okay, so let's check out my workspace and I will share those with you. All right, so I know my desktop looks a little lonely this morning, but let me just show you a couple of things. So if you've been following my channel for any length of time, then you probably have seen the albums, some of the pages at least of the albums that I made for our trip to Oahu in 2022. And so I just thought I would share very quickly a couple of the things that I did in here. One of the main ones is I cut these beautiful flowers on my Cricut. This is the Hawaii State flower, and then I added numbers to the tops of the flowers, which might be a little bit hard for you to see here because they're fairly narrow, but on each of the beginning of each of the days of our trip, I added a flower somewhere on the layout with the number to remind me, or to remind anyone who's watching, that this was day number 3. And if you are familiar with going to Hawaii and Oahu especially, I've never been to any of the other islands, so I can only assume that Leonard's is on the other islands as well, but we started this day with malasadas from Leonard's. So just a fun way to start that day. Anyway, so you can choose an emblem that you can use to indicate the start of a new day. That's part of what I have started doing in my trip albums. Give me just a second here. I'm going to move this one out of the way. This is an album from our trip to Alaska, summer of 2016. And what I did in this album is I created just a shape, a recognizable shape that I thought kind of looked fancy, door knocker-ish kind of, but I just did it in a very pale paper so that I could put the number of the day, and then I hand wrote on here, it was Sunday, the 3rd day, July 31st, which we were celebrating my parents' 50th anniversary and our 25th anniversary, and we were at sea on a cruise, so that's what this border over here represents, the fact that we were on a cruise. Now, this particular trip was what they call a land and sea cruise. If you've been on the Alaskan land and sea cruise, then you are familiar with this. But so each day that we were at sea on the cruise has this border, the same border, to indicate that we were on board ship. And then as soon as we got off the ship, there's my cute daddy. As soon as we got off the ship, I changed the border. So this is the same, not a new day necessarily, but a new mode of transportation. And we were no longer on the ship, we were on the land, and we were actually on a train. So we got on a 100-year-old train, and the whole time we were on the train, I have the train tracks going across the bottom of all the pages for where we were on the train. Then when we got to Canada, we got off the train, still on land. We got off the train and we got onto a touring bus. This was our sweet tour guide. She was super fun. And so I have a road that kind of meanders, that goes along the bottom of the pages and continues while we were on the bus, and the different places that we went while we were on the bus. Now, new day, still on land, right? And we started looking into gold mining, so that's what this is here. And I just used the bubble border maker cartridge, and I backed it with some gold shimmer, or actually this isn't gold shimmer because we didn't have gold shimmer when I put this album together. But this is just some gold paper that had a little bit of a pattern to it, and I backed the holes with that, and then added just a couple of rhinestones that were golds to kind of indicate nuggets. All right, so we had that the whole time we were mining. Then we got on a paddle boat, and so we were back on water. So I have water down here, and the water the whole time that we were on the paddle boat. It just made sense to me to indicate kind of what we were doing and when. And then we took off on an airplane ride. So this is the runway for the airplane, and we flew from Dawson City in Canada to Fairbanks, Alaska, for the remainder of our trip, and that's in a separate album. But anyway, just a fun way to kind of indicate the changes in this particular trip, because it was a very unique experience. Reminded me of the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. We were only this was ships, trains, buses, planes, and we actually were on a glass top train also, in addition to the 100-year-old train that we were in those other photos. So really a fun trip if you ever get the opportunity to take that. This is a sample of another way to kind of mark the start of another day, or the start of another section in your album. You can see up here I have it marked that this is day 10. This is an album that I made for my sister for a trip that she took to Scotland a couple of years ago. And so I was looking for some kind of a Celtic knot that I could use as a braid to create a border. And I found this punch that made a significant border. This is almost 3 inches wide, and not made by Creative Memories, but definitely a fun border punch to have. And you can see how I have 3 of them in a matching color to the plaid that was used on the page. And as we continue to the next page, there's more of the same plaid and the same color that was used in the knot, but then also I added portions of the plaids that are associated with this castle and the family whose name is on this castle. And I tried to do that for all of the different areas that she went to visit, which was super fun. This one is one that you might be more familiar with, called Loch Lomond, and that area. Here are the plaids that were associated with this area and the family name that went along with Loch Lomond. And again, this is the beginning of another day of her trip. So we have a plaid and a corresponding knot, the same punch, just different colors to associate with the plaid that's involved in decorating the page. And here's one more example for you. This one was from Baylock, and the park that is surrounding this castle. And anyway, I just thought that it might be fun to kind of showcase some of the pages from her album and share with you how we designated the beginning of each day of her trip for that. So in thinking about this for my Ireland journey, our Ireland trip, I wanted to do a couple things. And so I have a couple of samples of what you will see in the coming weeks and months as we put this together. I created titles that will go vertically on each of the pages. It'll go down the edge like this. So if this is my page, I will have, actually, county goes first. It's county, this is County Mayo. And I created these on my Cricut and put most of them together the other night so that I could be able to have this to demonstrate for you. One thing you need to be careful of, which I did not think about as I was cutting these, is that you want to choose a font that's not going to be super, super, super thin if you're going to use glitter paper to create the main portion of the font, because as you can see right here on my A, maybe you can't see it super well, but it's broken right there because it just got so thin that it couldn't maintain its integrity. So just keep that in mind and try to steer clear of fonts that will do that to you, or you have an added measure of frustration sometimes with things like that. Okay, so we have our county insignia each time we change to a new county, and we did visit 9, I believe it's 9 different counties in Ireland during our 9-day trip. Then I also have, let's start with this one. So this is a map of our, let's get it going the right direction, Kimberly. This is a map of our trip. We flew to Dublin, and then we worked our way down to Kinsale and over through Killarney National Park to Dingle, and up through Limerick and over to the Cliffs of Moher and to Galway, and then all the way up here to a fjord where we visited a sheep farm, which was super fun. And then we came back, spent the night in Galway, and drove back to Dublin to catch our flight home. So this is our 9-day journey in a nutshell. So I have that map that will go in. Then I have these cool maps, and this is something you would need to probably know about before you go on a trip. But if you use Google Maps on your cellular device, Google Maps can keep track of your whereabouts on any given day. And then you can print out copies of your trip on each day. So I have these copies of the journey that we made on each day. So one of these will go on the first day of each part of our journey, to kind of indicate what we did on each day, because as you can see, we didn't stay in one place very much. We were kind of all over the place, and looking at and seeing so many things. So really, really fun. So these maps will be also a part of that page. And then I thought, well, okay, I've got the obvious choice for my daily marker is a shamrock. So I made all of these quite a while ago, actually, in preparation for this album, and they all have their numbers on them already and are ready to go, these shamrocks, and they're very cute, and I like them a lot. But another thing I decided that I wanted to try, and I'm still kind of on the fence about it, but we'll see how it works out. If you recall seeing my title page for this album, and give me a second and I can remind you. Here's the title page for this album with this beautiful rainbow on the front of it. And I thought, you know, how cool would it be to, because that is such a great way to grab the attention of the viewer, wouldn't it be so cool to add a rainbow somehow to that daily marker that we have? And so I thought I would try it. I made this rainbow. This is from a 6-inch circle. The widest part is 6 inches. And I don't want to use a whole one. I only want to use a quarter of one to mark each page. So I'm cutting this into quarters, as you can see. And if you are curious how I made this rainbow, please refer back to the title page video, because you can see on that exactly how I did it. You would just start with 6 inches as your widest circle instead of, I can't remember what we used in that one, but anyway, you would just use 6 inches. So I was thinking maybe we could somehow incorporate it like this, or at the very least just have the rainbow in the corner of our page to indicate, hey, we are on a new day. And then this could go somewhere else on the page if we wanted, or we could cover up the rainbow just a tad bit with our shamrock or something along that line, depending on the pictures that are going on the page. So look for the rainbows and you'll know, in addition to my telling you probably, that we are on a new day of our trip. I hope this has been helpful. This has been a really quick tutorial for you today, and I hope to be back with you on Friday with a video to talk about what to do with all the memorabilia that you have collected or that you will collect on your trip, and different ways that you can put that into your albums, with some samples from my own albums as well. So until Friday, I hope you have many more creative moments. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a great day.